Venezuela. And our project is called HoPE and is presented by my partner and I, Maria Mata and Rodriguez.
And the way the project begins. The project, first of all, didn't have nothing to do with a gym. It started as a senior project, lasted 1 year. The senior helped the school by providing them books to the first graders, and then we started to have more contact with the school.
So the senior got inspired, or like in a way, like he wanted to do something for the school because the library apparently flooded and they lost many books and they were shortened. And so he felt motivated. He felt motivated to do something about it. So he did a book collection in our school, and our school donated many books to the institution.
The senior project got us more curious, and in one point he asked us to get involved to a project because he saw that we were more interested with the project. When we went to school, we went with a list of questions and interviewed the secretary and coordinator. And we did cover many problems, and some of them were nationals and we couldn't do nothing about it.
So we got curious, and when we got curious about this project, we started to investigate a little bit more into education in Venezuela and how it compares to other countries, like for example Colombia, or other countries in Latin America. So, does somebody know the definition of illiterate? Come on, don't be shy.
Unable to read or write.
Yes, being unable to read or write until you're age 15. If you have 15 and you can read and write, you're considered illiterate. So Venezuela has the percentage of literacy in Venezuela is 95.5%, and there's only 0.4% difference between genders, and it's one of the it's pretty high. It's like between the average of between the countries. And Venezuela spends 7% of its GDP on education. And if we compare it to other countries, like for example, Argentina and Chile have the highest in Latin America, with 97% and 98% of literacy. But they don't spend so much of their GDP. Maybe because they have a higher income, or just maybe because they have more private system. The private system is larger.
The statistics look pretty good, but they
can be foolish because they only tell it's like makeup. It just tells the surface. It doesn't go deeper. And then we started to look. When we started to find out information, we discovered that last year, private schools had 180 days of instructional days, while public schools only had 163 days of school. And this is pretty serious because it affects seriously their education.
The founder of CICE, Mariano Herrera, an investigation center dedicated to culture and educational, was protesting because child of the public school were losing 30 to 40% of the school year, and they won't have the same opportunity like the other children that completed the school year. And why are we in so many classes? First of all, we have a big problem, big political situation, and we have the public school are used to hold the elections and president desk. Then we had a lot of protest, and then we had instability. And Venezuela had 17 elections for 13 years.
So only 11% of students only 11% of students that go to public schools actually go to higher education, like university or college.
And 35% of the education budget funds is used for the 11% of those who go to the higher education.
So this means that from the GDP, like that 7% that the government spends on education, 35% is used for the 11% that go into college from the public schools. And more than 70% of university students come from upper class, and then there's the 11% from lower class, and then the remaining percentage is medium class or foreign countries.
And the students do not receive English until they are in middle school. And when they start, they don't have any previous knowledge about the language, and that causes difficulty and discomfort.
It's kind of like weird because they're forced to the English class, they are forced to receive it in middle school, but before that they never received English. So it's kind of weird because they could, if they were going to force them to have it in middle school, they should have like some previous knowledge before that. And that's why we want to help in certain ways. And the government has had several like social and educational programs, or like we call them Venezuela missions. And the most important ones are Misión Rivas, Misión Robinson, and Misión Sucre. And they were designed to decrease the level of illiteracy in Venezuela. And in their first years, they had quite some success because 125,000 indigenous people were taught how to read and write. But this does not mean that they learn like large other skills. They're only taught how to read and write, basic skills. And this is the picture of you can see this a lot. Well, not so much anymore, but before you could see this a lot in the streets. And this is the emblem for Misión Rivas.
The assistance of the government is by giving the elementary the canamitas. And the canamitas are some laptops that have 1 GB of RAM and 40 GB of memory. The Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation is directing this project. And the government program, and this program started in 2009 to 2010.
And we did some interviews, and we interviewed a teacher from a public school. And she thought this was great, but there's only one problem, that they tend to break easily because they're used by many, many students. And let's say from 32, only half work. So they have to be calling, they constantly have to be calling for people to fix them. So we want to do a quick activity, based on this basic information that we gave you. We would like you to go into your devices and go into this website and answer how does your country compare to Venezuela.
So the website is, can I just search today's meet, or what do I need to do?
No, today's meet.com/Jane, and it should take you directly.
No Wi-Fi.
Because the Wi-Fi doesn't reach.
Let's change the activity based on the difficulty. So let's go does somebody want to volunteer and say how your country is different? Under a public system, how is it different to the public system of Venezuela? Or private system even?
Okay, so in Mexico the public system is, I think it's good because it gives the children books about basic things they need to know. So after school they learn like the basic stuff, and they give them free books which some people can't afford.
Somebody else?
Colombia, there are public universities in each of the cities, and they're really decent. I don't know the exact figure, but I think it's way more than 11%. It depends if they study hard in their schools. They have a very good chance of getting into the university, and through the university they're able to get out of the work.
it's kind of interesting in South America, it seems to be the norm that people are taking languages in elementary school, but in the United States, it's very, United States centered, it's very common that languages aren't started in middle school.
Yeah, I'm from the United States, and we don't start, I just take Spanish classes now, but I didn't start that until 7th grade, so middle school, and I had no knowledge of it prior. But I understand, I see where how that's an issue for me. You know what I mean? If I had started learning Spanish, say 4 or 5 years older, I think my Spanish would be a lot better. And I think it shows that all of you who aren't native English speakers take English so much earlier in your private schools, and it has a good effect.
Does somebody else want to comment? Okay, let's continue.
And HoPE. HoPE means Helping Public Education. The school that we're helping is called Manuel Faria Luces, founded in 1971. Some amazing facts about it is that parents and guardians have asked that the preschool is replaced since numerous donations and fundraisers has been done to collect money estimated in thousands of bolivars.
And that's why what we want to do with this school, we don't want to give them money at all. We only want to give them like books and materials, since we don't want the money to be misused. So we had many obstacles, and one of the first things that came up as a problem was that schools in Venezuela started in mid-September, and our joint conference is in October, so we had very little time, and we couldn't interact at all with the kids. We could only interact with the coordinators and ask them and learn more about the educational system. So, and another problem was the principal of the school, because you normally leave, in Venezuela, the schools have classes in the morning, and then on the afternoon they have another class, but they don't, the students don't repeat. It's different set of students. So more students would come to school, and then she would only be in school until noon, and after noon she would leave, and very little time she stayed. So that's and we leave school at 3, so it's really hard to contact her. So we have not been able to talk with her, but we have been able to talk with her secretary and with the librarian of the school. And another thing was transportation, because getting there is not easy, and it's in the middle of Barcelona, and the supervisor of security of our school is the one that takes us, and he has a very tight schedule, and we also have a tight schedule, so it's kind of difficult to synchronize. And that's pretty much it. And plus, one thing that we couldn't do was take pictures. The only pictures that we could take were, for example, the problems of infrastructure, but for example, in the classrooms, we couldn't take pictures. From the inside, we couldn't take pictures. We couldn't take pictures of the students, almost nothing. Only basic things.
The schools they have access to a main road. That is good because the main road is where they pass all the cars, and they have more audience. And they have electricity, but sometimes blackouts. And they have water, and sometimes they don't have, and they only have one water tank. And they have cheerful students, and we know this because when we got to school, it was recess, and all of the children were happy, not frustrated, not saying that they will leave school. They were really happy to leave with their friends and having an education. And they have supporting parents. And when we interviewed our coordinators, they told us that the paint and the parents pay for the paint and all of that kind of stuff, and they have dedicated teachers and staff.
So the school has several weaknesses. One of the first is that all funds come from the government. This might be something good at the same time because they have almost unlimited funds, but they have many restrictions because they are not always able to. They have, for example, if they want to do something, any change in the school, like in the infrastructure, or maybe a new building, they need permission from the ministry, and it takes a long time. And the same as any recreation that has to be done, it also takes a long time to be done because it has to go through the ministry. And for example, some of the problems they requested over a year ago, and nothing has been done about it. And it's not in a densely populated area, and one side of the the school there's a graveyard, and then on the other side there's an empty field that they use as a court. And as I said before, they cannot change the campus unless they have permission of the ministry. They have no air conditioners, and in Puerto, Cruz, it's a very, very hot city. Like normally it doesn't go lower than 35 on day. And then they have only one water filter that is in the principal's office, and they don't have enough security in. Well, we'll tell you later about how we know this, because in our interview, like the coordinator told some things that were like, oh my goodness. And they didn't have any private funds, and they have no water tanks. And for example, sometimes they have to do reparations on the pipes, and when they do that, they have no water. They don't have any backup.
And the current condition of the school is that the paper wall is falling off, and the water cannons are broken, and when you enter to a school, you're going to get in a cement road, and then you're going to pass a yellow gates, and if you see above, you're going to see that broken cannon, and when it's rain, it would leak and would make the floor slippery, and all the young kids are running around and they can injure themselves. They don't have actual court. The court that is beside them is the community, so they can't do nothing about it.
These are some pictures. This is like the library wall. This is part of the library wall. And this is another piece of the library wall, and this is the water canal. And over here, all of this leakage every time it rains. So our experience. The first time we entered the school, like as you can see in the background, we have like this is the emblem of the school. You can see that part of it has fallen off, and that's the one that is outside. And here you can also see the paint is falling down, and it hasn't been taken care of in a long time, because the parents don't have enough money or time, and it's very difficult.
And the difference from this school to ours is that we learn Spanish and English from our childhood. Our gardens are more cared, and their gardens are like, they are dry. They don't have tall buildings. They have a simple storage building, and the roof is not a rough roof. It's like a wood, and that needs a lot of maintenance. So when it's rain, it is damaging the roof.
It tends to leak. Oh, can you go back one second? And here's when we wanted to talk about no high security. And they have like a small kind of kitchen, and just before they started school, they stole 2 propane tanks, for those that can add to the gas. And it was the people from the community, and we were like shocked because we were not supposed to steal something that is part of you, because if you're stealing from a school, it's public, it's like stealing yourself.
And when we got there, the kids were really happy, but the school was really depressing, but the kids didn't matter about that. That's something I like. The kids were still happy.
So the interview, as we said before, we could not talk to the principal. We talked to these 2 ladies that are in the background. To the left, she's the secretary, and this woman here, well, the brightness doesn't look very good, but she's the librarian of the school, and she actually is kind of depressed because like the library is falling down, there's not many books, and even though we help, there's still a lot of things to be done.
And they work because they are losing a lot of classes, and the condition of the school, because practically the school is falling. If there's like a little earthquake, the school will fall.
And when we came in, they were very enthusiastic because, as we said before, this project was started by a senior, and he introduced himself as a student of Seablake. So when we told them that we were from Seablake, they got really happy because they already knew that we wanted to keep helping them. So how did we enter? So we had to do this formal document that our principal signed, and because it's sort of like an ID, because we cannot like just enter like stranger, like like nobody. So because we had to represent that we were a school and what were our intentions.
And when we make the arrangements with the security supervisor, he said that he would be glad because when he went to that school, he said that it will remember to his childhood.
And this is the document that we made. As you can see, the principal's signature is here and the logo of the school. And I just like it because it makes us feel professional.
And the way that we can help is by providing blockchain to paint with the parents and guardians of the institution and to help landscape the campus and suggesting guidance to have a website for an interactive yearbook. And they don't have enough money to make a physical book. So they already make a online yearbook but didn't work because they didn't know how. But this time we're going to guide them how to do it. And water filters, we can help them to win a fundraise, and we purchase the water filter, not them, because if we give them the money, they can use it for other things. We can provide them with English kits, and they receive English in middle school without any previous knowledge about the language. We can do book raisers, that is when you don't use a book, you can donate it to us and we give it to the school. And raise awareness so they can realize what they can do for their own future. Like we can go there and make a speech of first think and then act, because if you act first, you already could ruin your future.
And when we mean raise awareness, we also mean raise awareness in our own campus. Because in our own campus, all the students are used to having all of these opportunities and all of these resources, while they don't have anything. So we also want them to realize that there are people that need help. So if you could gather a few groups, so I'm going to pass you paper and pens, and make this poster and maybe a mind map and put your ideas down, and somebody from your group can come up and present. It could be if you were doing this, how would you do it different, or more ideas, anything.
So what do we need to write out of the
If you were doing a project, so you'd do different your ideas. What else could you do for help us school? Private education, public education,
Because I remember 2 years ago, it was my principal was there, only
why did this the principal?
it's still like a
So it's more like someone that just sort of gets off.
my sister, she was it was really hard. And even though it was a small school, I was more classroom in my house. It was still really like It's not easy. It's not like just reaching go and say, hey, this is you. Like sometimes even the principal,
How are we raising your because I feel like if it gets out too much, how bad it
but everyone knows how it looks. What idea design is possible with like join a group instead of like force it to like valves or something like that. The whole like year of the class, seniors are going to use
most of them are more like this where
we have like 1,000 students.
right here.
That's why it's really
Yeah, that's huge, right? Now, what's your school?
Learn how to learn and
Get parents, right? So, and your parents just realize that this was but you learn from their age. I never really, I never realized how American international schools are. And how they're really like the best thing around. What's like the tuition?
This was learn how
poverty and reaching conversations with students is the poverty is good thing, but because of social it's hard to like actually get them. Like resource water, it's not really our problem. We don't necessarily have problems with schools, but it's getting the kids to go back to So it's really just.
Well, there are like three.
Right.
The others are.
Yeah, it's where you
There
are.
is
So if their kids.
Quite lucky.
Okay, I think now we have given you enough time, like, choose somebody from your group and come up and present.
Thank you, Rasta. We go together. No, but you look at it, yeah.
Our quick little discussion and brainstorming, we found out that for some ideas that are pretty good, the first thing that should be done would be fundraising, which will be an obvious thing since capital will be invested into the school, into providing better security, better facilities, painting a little, growing some trees, making it greener, making it less depressing as it was told by our fellow ambassadors. Second, we found out that involving a larger group of students allows us to have a greater workforce to proactively attempt to improve and do what these noble students have done for their school. If we have more of these exemplars, then obviously there's going to be more support and more knowledge about this issue that we're facing at the moment. Thirdly, we must encourage all other students to get their parents involved and to learn how to learn. Because if we don't teach them how to learn properly, then all they're doing in school is attending school, writing down something on paper, and returning home. They're not learning the content and learning possible life applications that could be used to help the school. Additionally, the parents can offer a large amount of assistance towards the school. And if we get more parents involved in helping out the school, then we're going to get more support, not just from the students, but from the parents themselves, which is a major leap forward, to say the least. Finally, we have to teach the community itself ethical values through community assistance programs, one-on-one chats, workshops, any kind of teaching the community essence. Because from what we saw, there were thieves who robbed the propane gas tanks found within the school. That's considered unethical, and we have to teach the community such a thing so that they may know what they're doing is unethical, what they're doing is extremely wrong. But by helping the school and not stealing the propane from the kitchen, they're improving the school and helping the future generations. And that's pretty much it.
Eres un mango. Eres un ango. ¿Sabes lo que es? ¿No? Es como genio, no sé.
So, our ideas would have more contact with the government, like you should like go to and like send maybe emails to the government. You should get help from other schools, like not only you should do it, like you should get more schools like involved with helping and get help from other students, like I don't know, but maybe like we see that it's only you two working on this project. So we think you should get more people involved, like from your school, and go to help this.
So what you mentioned about the government is the fact that you guys can't solve all the problems alone, because it's the government's responsibility. If they're giving even money to that school, is their responsibility of taking care of that community, because it's not only like students, they're people, and the government should take care of that people. And we would also like to include more research in the project, like what is the social context of the kids. Like we know the structure of the school and we know their conditions, but what is the situation of the families in the school? What's the situation of the neighborhood they live in? That might help in the things you have to include in your project, like how are you going to address that community? Also about laws, how can you support your point to the government? Like you just can't present all the flaws of the school. You might want to include some information about rights of education or of children that might help you a lot. And we would also like for you to think about some kind of activities that permit the merging of the communities, like the community from your school and the community from the school you are going to help. And a way of doing that would be some English tutoring, which is an activity that is done in my school in Colombia, and it works really good, so maybe you can think about it.
Okay, so we heard about the blackouts, and then we remember there was this project in Brazil that someone did once, that they got like this water bottles and they stuck them to the roof, but they put some chemicals inside the water bottles, which at night they would retain the light and then glow, so then that could help with the blackouts.
Also, as they mentioned as well, you need to use the community influence to ask help from the government as well. It's not to pressure them to help us. And one thing, before all of secondhand, before anything, I think that creating awareness within parents is the most important thing. Because, all right, imagine if they actually don't care about their children's education, and for instance, they just want to play around all day. So we need to teach them that education is really important, in order for them to force their child to learn, which is a good thing.
Also, like you have in Colombia, back in Brazil, we also have this project where you bring kids from the school, like in this case, the school to your school, and then there you can teach them like English, basketball, tennis, whatever. Like merging both communities, like they also said. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, we teaching, there is this community service called FALA, which every Saturday we teach English on weekends for the less privileged people. And not only that, we have weekly visits and other community services to actually help them learn and have fun at the same time.
And also, we also thought you could donate like second-hand items like school supplies, books, sport equipment to the school. Maybe do like a drive or something where you collect everything from your school, from the parents, whatever, and then take everything to the school.
Just one last thing. When you are done, can you please go on to the assembly area, well, to the patio where we're going to have small snack.
You guys started out with some of the just superficial parts of the school and painting the courtyards with asphalt games, something that could involve the students. They could be involved in the type of games that they're choosing. Perhaps getting donated materials for rooms to spruce up the rooms, bulletin boards, things like that. But the main thing we thought, we talked about having a positive parent support system. They may not have the time to put into the school, but they might have lots of ideas, and tuning into whatever parent organizations they have, finding out what they think are the priorities for improving the school culture could give you a whole list of ideas, and that might be the most positive way that you guys can get involved as volunteers kind of being involved with the projects that they feel need to happen at the school in light of the other things that you can't do anything about.
Okay, so in summary, this project has taught us a lot. Thanks to this senior that is called Alfredo, we have learned a lot about our own country, and we have learned that we are not alone in this world. And now we feel impulsed to continue this project and to make a difference. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we ask questions?
Questions, Ellen?
Sure.
Is your plan now then to try to take some idea you think is going to be most useful, and then is it just you two?
Oh no, we have another member, and we influence other students, and we sometimes use volunteers. And that's what we want to do, and we want to continue with this project and get deeper with it. And next time we present in a Gen conference, we want to present not information so much about the country, but a lot more about what we have done and how we have changed the school. Something else?